Hey, what's up? Thanks for stopping by. This video will teach you about the FM drum synth machine inside Digitone II. We'll cover a little bit of FM synthesis and cover all the parameters and what they do to the FM drum sound. All right, let's dive in. So first, to select FM drum, we're going to hit Function and then our SYN page, hover over to FM drum and then press Yes, and then the SYN page again. FM drum was designed for percussive and melodic sounds, but I have made some pretty crazy pads with it too. It's based around 3 FM operators, envelopes, wave folding, and a few other fun things to try. Here on our first page, which by the way we have 4 of, we use these up and down keys to access those. But on our first page we have tuning, which of course tunes the oscillators. And if you're ever having trouble getting back to the middle, hold down Function and then you can jump in quick octaves or go back to 0. After tune, we have sweep time and sweep depth. These work together. Sweep refers to a pitch sweep of our oscillators, sweeping from a high point back down to the original pitch. Sweep depth, in this case, will control how much of this modulation is applied, and sweep time will control how much time it takes for this modulation to happen. So here. After those two is algorithm, and this will select the structure of how the 3 operators are connected and how they modulate each other. If you look closely, you can see that each operator actually has a letter on it corresponding to the parameters that we'll get to in the following pages. You can also see that in this first algorithm here, we have operator A, then C, and then B with a little loop in it. Following these paths give you a better understanding of how the operators work together in that specific algorithm. For example, if I jump over to algorithm 4, you can see B with a feedback loop is going into A, and that's then going into C and then to our main outputs. Continuing on, operator C and operator AB will choose the waveform for that selected operator. And feedback will set the amount of self-modulation or feedback an operator has. This will be applied to all operators that have that feedback loop symbol on them. In this case, it's going to be operator B in the top right. And lastly is fold, and this will set the amount of wave folding for the body part of our sound. The noise and transient parts of this sound are excluded, and we're going to get to those in a sec. And the simple way to think of this knob is it's increasing the complexity in the wave and creates more overtones. Combined with our other wave shapes. Now, I wasn't adjusting our operator AB or our feedback amount just yet because our modulation hasn't been set. This is what we do on page 2. So jumping over there now, here we can control our modulation amounts or our ratios for operator A and B. This ratio changes the pitch of operators A or B relative to the pitch of operator C. And turning up our mod amounts will change how much of this operator A, or in this case maybe even B, will then be sent to modulate operator C, which is our carrier in this specific patch. So let's hear how that sounds. Then between these 2 parameters, we have an easy-to-use envelope for each operator. This is going to control how this modulation is applied to operator C. FM drum is made up of 3 main parts. The FM operators creating the body of our sound, a noise circuit, and then a transient circuit. Up until now, we've really just been focusing on the body of our sound, which is this, which continues on page 3. Here, our hold amount will set the amount of time our body envelope is held before the decay phase of our body envelope starts. In a default patch, you won't really hear any change to your hold amount because our decay is set to infinite. But if we turn our decay all the way down, you'll hear that the sound just disappears. Now our hold amount comes into play. how long is this sound held? If we turn this all the way up, it's a similar effect in acting as a gate. But if we have a little bit of a decay, it'll be a smoother ride out. The PHC parameter will set the reset point for operator C's phase. This is represented in degrees from 0 all the way to 90 degrees, 90 being the peak of its waveform, and anything above that, 91, will then be set to free. And free basically means that operator C will just run freely and never reset. But if you want to have a consistent, specific sound when designing drums, it's really handy to dial this in. Now the level control here is super handy. This will just control the volume of the body tone of this patch. So if you want a patch that's just transient and noise, you can turn this level all the way down. Noise reset in this case will reset the noise to the same random seed on every note trigger. This is great if you want the noise to sound the same every time you press a key, and it almost makes it sound as if it were a sample. Again, this in combination with the phase reset is great when dialing in drum sounds. And noise ring mod will use operator C as a ring modulator for the noise. So let's go there now. On page 4, we can turn up our noise or transient levels, and we also have a noise envelope similar to the body envelope we spoke about earlier. We have a hold amount and a decay amount. Now turning our noise down, I'm going to turn our transient level up and use the transient selector, which moves between different drum transient sounds. This is super useful when creating big kicks or adding some crunch to melodic tones. The bass width filter here is specific to our transient and noise part of the sound, and then our noise grain parameter adjusts the density of grains for the noise from a high white noise down to a low grainy amount. Okay, hopefully you learned something here today. If you want to continue learning, which is always a good option in my book, check out this playlist here. All right, peace.